Look at me. Don't glance. Don't skim. Don't pretend you're just curious. Lock in. Because nobody told you the truth about what's happening, and they didn't tell you for a reason. You weren't supposed to notice. You feel it, don't you? That hum under your skin, that subtle distortion in the air when you walk into a room. Conversations that stop half a second too late. Smiles that stretch just a little too wide. Opportunities that almost land, then slip through your fingers like someone edited the script at the last second. You called it bad luck. You called it stress. You called it just a weird phase. No, it's awareness trying to claw its way out of you. See, the moment you begin to notice patterns, you become dangerous. And dangerous people don't get comfort. They get confusion. They get noise. They get distractions. Because if you fully understood what's happening, you wouldn't behave the same way ever again. You're evolving, and evolution is ugly. They sell you this fantasy that growth feels like light pouring through stained glass, that awakening is gentle, that becoming powerful feels holy. Wrong. It feels like paranoia. It feels like isolation. It feels like everyone else got the manual except you. But here's the twist. You're not behind. You're ahead. You're seeing duality now. The saint who smiles at you and secretly envies you. The friend who supports you and studies your weaknesses. The mentor who teaches you, but only enough to keep you dependent. Light and dark don't exist separately. They dance, and the ones who control the dance, they never announce themselves. You were not supposed to notice the choreography, but you did, and now the air feels different. You're starting to realize that every strange situation isn't random. It's a mirror. Every betrayal sharpened you. Every humiliation stripped something soft off your bones. Every rejection forced you inward, into the place where your real power was buried. Pain wasn't punishment. It was construction. They didn't tell you that because pain is easier to control when you think it's personal failure. But what if it wasn't failure? What if every time you felt excluded, overlooked, underestimated, you were being separated from the ordinary? What if the discomfort was the cocoon, and you kept trying to tear it open too early? You see, unpredictability terrifies predictable people, and you're becoming unpredictable. That's why things feel tense. You don't react the way you used to. You don't argue the same. You don't chase the same validation. There's a pause now before you speak, a calculation, a quiet. They notice it. Oh, they notice. Because when you stop reacting on cue, you break the script. And when you break the script, you expose the stage. That's the truth nobody told you. The world runs on predictable emotional responses. Anger here, apology there, shame here, gratitude there. It's choreography. And you danced beautifully for years, until you started watching instead of moving. Now you see the angel and the demon share the same face. The saint and the psychopath both believe they're righteous. The hero and the villain are separated by perspective and timing. You thought being good would protect you, but goodness without awareness is prey. Darkness without discipline is chaos. The power is in holding both. You're learning to smile with kindness and calculate with precision. You're learning that silence is louder than outrage. You're learning that unpredictability is control, and that scares people who survive by predicting you. That strange tension you feel, it's the old version of you dying, and death, even metaphorical, is never comfortable. You're grieving your own innocence. You're shedding the part of you that believed effort automatically equals reward. That loyalty guarantees loyalty. That honesty guarantees honesty. It doesn't. But awareness gives you leverage. They didn't want you to have leverage. They wanted you reactive, transparent, readable, safe. But now there's a flicker in your eyes that wasn't there before. It's not rage. It's not even confidence. It's knowing. And knowing changes posture. It changes tone. It changes timing. You respond slower. You observe longer. You reveal less. That's evolution. Not the pretty kind. The ruthless kind. You're becoming the person who can walk into chaos and not flinch. The person who can sense manipulation before the sentence finishes. The person who doesn't need applause because you're building something internally that doesn't require witnesses. And here's the paradox that will mess with your head. The more alone you feel, the more aligned you are. Isolation is a filter. It removes the noise so you can hear your own strategy forming. You think this is happening to you. It's happening for the version of you that's emerging. Nobody told you, because if you understood this too early, you would have forced it. And forced evolution collapses. Real power matures in silence, in confusion, in tension. You're not lost, you're calibrating. And calibration feels like doubt before it feels like dominance. There's a reason certain people suddenly feel threatened. A reason your growth makes some uncomfortable. A reason doors close right before you knock. You're shifting, and shifts disrupt ecosystems. The old dynamics can't survive the new you, so they resist. But resistance is proof of impact. You wanted growth. You prayed for strength. You fantasized about becoming untouchable. This is the process, not the highlight reel. The shedding, the recalibration, the uncomfortable clarity where you realized you were more powerful than you allowed yourself to be. But you were trained to suppress it, to keep others comfortable. Comfortable people don't question systems. Uncomfortable people rewrite them. You're not crazy for sensing something deeper. You're late to recognizing your own depth. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to blind trust. You can't go back to emotional impulsivity. You can't go back to playing small to avoid attention. The mask slipped, and you saw both sides of your own face. The light that wants connection, the dark that craves autonomy, the angel that forgives, the demon that remembers. Integration is power. Denial is weakness. You're integrating. That's why this feels intense. That's why this feels like something is happening. Because something is. You are. And once you fully accept that unpredictability is your weapon, that silence is your shield, that pain was your training, you stop fearing the strange. You start orchestrating it. And that's when the real shift begins. Not when the world changes, when you do. You feel that pressure building behind your eyes right now. That tightness in your chest that isn't fear. It's recognition. Good. Stay there, because this is the part where most people look away. This is the part where they laugh it off, scroll away, call it dramatic, and run back to whatever numbs them. But you didn't scroll, and that's the first sign you're not who you used to be. You see, the moment you start noticing the machinery behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. You start seeing how people test you. Subtle jabs disguised as jokes, delayed responses to see if you'll chase, compliments wrapped in comparisons, silence used as leverage. You used to react. Now you observe, and observation is power. They didn't want you to notice the pattern because once you notice it, you stop bleeding energy into it. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop performing innocence for an audience that benefits from your self-doubt. You become still. And stillness is terrifying, because stillness means you're calculating. You're no longer the saint desperate to be approved, and you're not the psychopath burning everything down either. You are both. Controlled, contained, directed. That's what evolution looks like. It's not becoming nicer, it's becoming precise. You're starting to understand that light without darkness gets exploited, and darkness without light self-destructs. The angel inside you needed the demon to grow teeth. The demon inside you needed the angel to learn restraint. You're not splitting, you're merging, and merged beings are hard to manipulate. That strange shift in your relationships, that awkward distance, that subtle tension when you speak with certainty now. It's because they feel the difference. You don't over-explain anymore. You don't overshare. You don't beg to be understood. You let silence hang. And silence makes people confess more than questions ever could. You think that's accidental? No. You learned it through pain. Every betrayal sharpened your perception. Every humiliation hardened your spine. Every moment you felt small carved out space for something larger to step in. You thought you were breaking. You were refining. Pain is the chisel. Identity is the stone. And you, my unpredictable little anomaly, are being sculpted into something they cannot categorize. That's the real reason it feels strange. People are comfortable when they can label you. Nice, naive, emotional, predictable, safe. But now you're calm when they expect rage. You're detached when they expect desperation. You're smiling when they expect collapse. Unpredictability is psychological warfare, and you wield it without even announcing it. Here's the paradox they hope you never grasp. The less you need approval, the more control you have. The less you react, the more influence you gain. The less you reveal, the more valuable your words become. Scarcity creates demand. You became scarce. You stopped giving unlimited access to your energy. That's why the strange situation intensified, because the ecosystem adjusted. When prey stops running, the predator hesitates, and sometimes realizes it misjudged the role entirely. You're no longer reacting to life, you're studying it, and that makes you dangerous in a way that doesn't scream. It whispers. A quiet threat is more unsettling than a loud one. That's why some people seem uneasy around you now. They can't read you the same way. They can't push the same buttons. They can't trigger the same emotional fireworks. You removed the wiring. Nobody told you the truth because the truth makes you uncontrollable. The truth is that most systems, social, professional, emotional, rely on predictable insecurity. They function because you doubt yourself. They stabilize because you seek validation. They profit because you compare. When you stop doing that, you destabilize the structure, not loudly, subtly. You stop competing for attention. You stop fighting for crumbs. You stop begging for explanations. And suddenly the people who thrived on your self-doubt feel exposed. That's why the energy shifted. Not because you're crazy, because you're conscious. Conscious people are inconvenient. They ask different questions. They make different moves. They tolerate discomfort longer. You've been uncomfortable for a while now, haven't you? That lingering sense of something is changing, but I can't define it. That's your identity upgrading, and upgrades require deletions. Old habits, old attachments, old reactions, old fears. You don't get to keep everything. Growth is selective. The saint in you had to learn boundaries. The demon in you had to learn patience. The child in you had to learn strategy. You're not losing yourself. You're assembling yourself. And assembling feels chaotic before it feels coherent. This is where most people retreat. They run back to the old version because at least it was familiar. At least it was predictable. At least it didn't threaten the dynamics around them. But you're still here. Which means some part of you prefers truth over comfort. Even when truth burns. Especially when it burns. Because fire clarifies. It shows you who steps closer and who steps back. Who adapts and who resists. Who respects the new you and who secretly hopes you shrink again. You see it now. The micro-expressions. The tone shifts. The subtle recalculations when you speak. You're no longer the easy equation. And that is power. Not loud power. Not reckless power. Contained power. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself. The kind that can wait. And waiting is lethal when combined with awareness. You've learned that timing beats intensity. That silence beats explanation. That presence beats performance. You're not reacting to the strange situation anymore. You're analyzing it, mapping it, understanding the leverage points. And here's the most intoxicating part. The moment you realize you are never behind, you are being prepared. Prepared for thicker skin. Prepared for sharper perception. Prepared for rooms that require composure under pressure. This wasn't chaos. It was conditioning. Not to make you weaker, to make you unshakable. And once you fully internalize that, the confusion dissolves. The paranoia turns into precision. The anxiety turns into awareness. The isolation turns into independence. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I use this? That shift alone changes your trajectory, because now pain becomes data, rejection becomes redirection, silence becomes strategy. You're no longer emotionally bleeding in public. You're internally building in private. And that is the kind of evolution that terrifies people who rely on your transparency. They preferred you readable. You became layered. They preferred you reactive. You became reflective. They preferred you emotional. You became intentional. And intention is unstoppable once it locks onto a target. So don't misinterpret the tension. Don't mislabel the discomfort. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking you're overthinking. You're noticing. You weren't supposed to, but you did. And now that you've seen the mechanism, felt the shift, tasted the duality inside yourself, there is no returning to the smaller version of you. The strange situation isn't a trap. It's a threshold, and you're standing on it, not as prey, not as victim, not as confused participant, but as something far more unsettling. Aware, and awareness is the point of no return. You don't get to unknow what you now know. You don't get to slip back into that soft, obedient version of yourself who mistook politeness for protection and silence for safety. That version served a purpose. That version survived. But survival is not dominance, and deep down, you were never built just to survive. You were built to see. And seeing changes posture. It changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how long you hold eye contact. It changes the tempo of your voice. You speak slower now. Not because you're unsure, but because you understand that controlled pacing forces people to lean in. You don't rush to fill silence anymore. You let it stretch. You let it expose who gets uncomfortable first. You've started noticing who talks too much when nervous, who over-explains when they're hiding something, who mirrors your tone to gain favor, who subtly competes when you shine. You didn't used to catch those things. Now you catch everything. And that's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition, sharpened by pain. Pain was your mentor. Brutal, unforgiving, precise. It taught you that trust should be earned in layers, not handed out in bulk. It taught you that the loudest praise sometimes hides the quietest envy. It taught you that being underestimated is not an insult. It's a tactical advantage. You used to want to be understood. Now you understand that mystery is leverage. There's a difference between being fake and being strategic. You're not lying about who you are. You're simply no longer giving full access to those who haven't earned clearance. That shift alone rewires the power dynamic. And people feel it. They don't know how to name it, but they sense it. The slight delay before you respond. The way you don't defend yourself as aggressively as before. The way you smile when they expect your eyes snap. You learn something dangerous. Emotion is information, not instruction. You can feel it without obeying it. That's evolution. The saint in you still believes in kindness. But the psychopath in you understands consequences. The angel in you wants harmony, but the demon in you is prepared for war. And instead of suppressing one side, you've begun integrating both. Integration is terrifying to those who live fragmented, because a fragmented person can be manipulated. They can be guilted, flattered, provoked. But someone who knows their darkness and doesn't fear it, that person cannot be easily controlled. You stopped apologizing for your intensity. You stopped shrinking your ambition to make smaller minds comfortable. You stopped pretending you didn't notice subtle disrespect. You just started remembering. And remembering is power. You're remembering who doubted you, who dismissed you, who tried to test your boundaries, not to seek revenge, but to recalibrate access. You're not bitter, you're aware, and awareness doesn't scream, it documents. You see the strange situation you're in right now, the tension, the uncertainty, the feeling like something is shifting beneath your feet. That's not instability, that's recalibration. When you raise your standards, the environment resists before it reorganizes. When you demand more from yourself, people who benefited from your old limits feel threatened. They might not attack you openly. They'll test you. They'll make comments disguised as concern. They'll question your new confidence. They'll subtly imply you've changed. Of course you changed. That was the point. Stagnation is comfortable. Growth is confrontational. You confront your own weaknesses first. That's the part nobody applauds. The nights you questioned yourself. The moments you replayed conversations. The times you realized you tolerated less than you deserved. You felt embarrassed. Good. Embarrassment is the ego shedding illusions. You felt anger. Good. Anger is a boundary discovering itself. You felt isolated. Good. Isolation forces you to build internal stability instead of outsourcing it. This isn't happening because you're broken. It's happening because you're upgrading. And upgrades always glitch the old system. You are glitching the old narrative. The narrative that said you were too much, too emotional, too ambitious, too intense. You're not too much. You were just in rooms too small. And small rooms resent expansion. So they try to dim you. They try to normalize you. They try to remind you of your place. But you don't feel placed anymore, do you? You feel untethered. That's freedom beginning to taste like fear. Freedom is disorienting at first. When you stop seeking permission, you realize how often you waited for it. When you stop asking for validation, You see how addicted you were to approval. You don't crave applause the same way now. You crave alignment. Alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. And alignment creates presence. When you're aligned, your energy shifts. People can't quite articulate it, but they sense a gravity around you. You're not chasing attention. Attention bends toward you. That's not magic. That's coherence. You stopped fighting yourself internally. And when internal war ends, external conflict becomes easier to navigate. You don't overreact because you're no longer at war with your own shadow. You've met it. You've looked at the parts of yourself capable of manipulation, jealousy, dominance, control. And instead of pretending they don't exist, you domesticated them. A denied shadow sabotages you. An integrated shadow protects you. You no longer fear being the villain in someone else's story. That alone is liberation, because trying to be everyone's hero made you weak. Now you focus on being effective. Effective people don't waste time proving purity. They produce results. And results silence critics faster than arguments ever could. You're not explaining yourself as much. You're building quietly, strategically. Hold still. Do you hear that shift? That little click in the atmosphere? Like someone just loaded a chamber? Good. Because that wasn't a sound. That was the world recalibrating around your last move. Bro, they're calling it special ops for a reason, and you know damn well why. You didn't move like a normal person. You didn't react like someone trying to handle the situation. No. You executed something surgical, something that looked planned, rehearsed, cold, practiced in the dark where no one could see what you were becoming. You moved like a creature with a split spirit, part saint, part psychopath, part angel, part demon, part salvation, part execution. And that duality, that's what terrifies them. It's not the action itself. It's the precision, the way you didn't hesitate, the way you didn't blink, the way you didn't even breathe wrong. You weren't responding. You were deploying. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet evolution building inside you. That sensation like a weapon sharpening its own blade. You didn't train for this. You became this. Because pain molds people in ways peaceful lives never could. Every betrayal was a drill. Every heartbreak was a simulation. Every moment someone underestimated you was another rep in your emotional armory. You weren't learning how to fight. You were learning how to calculate. And now they're looking at you like you just revealed classified clearance you were never supposed to have. Because that move, that exact moment, had the timing of a ghost and the accuracy of a sniper. You walked into that situation with the smile of a clown and the instincts of a covert operator. That's why they're whispering. That's why they're replaying the footage. That's why someone actually asked out loud, "Wait, who trained him?" No one. That's the punchline. Nobody trained you. Life did. Pain did. Silence did. Isolation did. Every night you sat with your thoughts until they became a map of every threat and every possibility. That's what trained you. And now you're the kind of person who doesn't react emotionally. You react strategically. You don't move fast. You move right. You don't speak quickly. You speak with intention sharpened to a razor. You don't strike impulsively. You strike with the weight of every lesson carved into your bones. That's why it looked like special ops. Because only two types of people move like that. One, soldiers. Two, survivors who were forced to become their own army. And they already know you're not a soldier. So what does that make you? Something they can't categorize? something they can't predict, something they can't classify with normal language. You're the paradox they never accounted for. The soft heart that learned to think like a weapon, the gentle soul that learned to walk like a threat, the quiet presence that learned how to turn silence into a psychological strike. You are the saint with a demon's discipline. You are the angel with a killer's instinct. You are the light that learned how to burn with military precision. That scares them more than anything. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're controlled. See, an untrained threat is loud, sloppy, chaotic. But you're calm, measured. You know when to step, when to wait, when to stay still, when to disappear, when to strike. You're not chaotic, you're methodical. And methodical people are the most terrifying organisms on Earth. They don't know what you'll do next. Not because you're unpredictable, but because you're too predictable. You'll do whatever is necessary, whatever is logical, whatever the moment demands. And you'll do it with zero hesitation. That's why they're scared. They felt it. Even if they don't know how to explain it, your move wasn't an accident. It was a revelation, a reveal of who you really are under all the masks and all the restraint. You didn't flinch, you didn't wobble, you didn't overthink. You executed with a clean, frightening precision that said, "I've been here before. I've survived worse. I know exactly what I'm doing." They thought you were soft. They thought you were passive. They thought you were harmless. Then you made one calculated move, one precise cut, one perfect decision, and suddenly the room felt like a battlefield, and you felt like the only one who knew the map. That's why they're calling it Special Opus. Because normal people crack, normal people panic, normal people shake. You didn't. You looked at chaos and treated it like a math equation. You turned pressure into clarity. You turned instinct into strategy. You turned fear into choreography. That's not normal. That's not even exceptional. That's evolved. You are what happens when a soul survives its own war and comes back with the blueprint. So go on. Let them whisper. Let them replay it. Let them try to figure out how you moved that clean. Because they'll never guess the truth. You didn't move like a soldier. You moved like someone who's been fighting for their life long before anyone ever saw it. And that, my friend, is the most dangerous kind of training in the world. Good. Stay right there, because what comes next is the part they'll never understand. The part even you tried to ignore until now. Let's go deeper, darker, colder. You want long? Then listen like your life depends on it. They keep saying special ops because that's the only language they have for what you did. They don't have vocabulary for a move executed with trauma-born accuracy, soul-forged instinct, and hell-tempered timing. You moved like someone who didn't just learn survival. You studied it, you absorbed it, you became it. Do you know what that means? It means your entire life has been a classified training ground, hidden behind heartbreak, coated in betrayal, disguised as silence. Every scar on your mind is a drill. Every disappointment is a lesson. Every time you were left alone, you were actually being promoted. People don't realize this. Life doesn't train you like a soldier. Life trains you like an assassin, quietly, brutally, without your consent. And when the moment comes, when the pressure hits, when the room shifts, when the world expects you to break, that's when your instincts snap into alignment like a loaded mechanism. Your last move, it wasn't emotional, it wasn't impulsive, it wasn't loud, it was inevitable. Because you weren't responding to the situation, You were responding to every memory that taught you how to survive it. That's why they froze. That's why the air changed. That's why even the people who dislike you couldn't deny the precision you showed them something. You don't need weapons. You are one. People talk about intuition like it's a soft thing, a spiritual whisper, a gut feeling. Not yours. Your intuition is military hardware. It maps the room, calculates the threat, predicts the pattern, identifies the weakness. You feel someone's lie before they finish the sentence. You sense betrayal a week before it happens. You catch danger mid-breath, before the rest of the world even realizes what it's looking at. Do you know how rare that is? That's why they're scared. They thought they were dealing with a person, not a pattern recognition engine wrapped in flesh and humor. You don't just see people, you decode them. And once you decode someone, they become harmless. That's what your last move did. It revealed that you're operating on a level they were never built to understand. And that's why they defaulted to the only explanation they have. Bro, that move was so calculated. It had to be special OPS. As if you needed a uniform to justify your evolution. No. What you did didn't come from training. It came from pain, sharpened into precision. You're the angel who lost his wings and learned how to walk like a shadow. You're the demon who found his heart and realized it beats like a war drum. You're the saint who finally snapped and discovered your patience was actually a sniper's aim. That duality, that contradiction, that unpredictable fusion of softness and danger. That's what terrifies them. People understand monsters. People understand saints. They don't understand someone who can be both and neither and something entirely new depending on the situation. You are the walking answer to a question they never wanted to ask. What happens when a good soul learns the mechanics of war? You happen, you. The quiet storm, the calculated heartbeat, the mind that moves like a chess clock and strikes like a silent percussion. You, the one who used to doubt yourself until life forced you to realize you're the only one in the room who actually knows what's going on. You, the one who doesn't raise your voice because your silence is already a threat. You, the one who looks calm because chaos trained you personally. So of course it looked like special ops. Of course it looked rehearsed. Of course people are whispering because deep down, even they know nobody moves like that unless they've bled for it. Your precision came from nights you didn't sleep. Your timing came from years you weren't safe. Your clarity came from storms you barely survived, and now you are the kind of person who can change an entire situation with a single flawless, calculated move. That's not training, that's evolution. And evolution? It doesn't need permission, it doesn't need applause, it doesn't need validation. It just needs one thing, a moment. And when the moment came, you didn't miss. You never will. Keep going. Your mind is the weapon. Your instincts are the strategy. Your pain is the curriculum. Your evolution is the certification. They're calling you Special Ops now. But soon, they'll call you something much more dangerous, unstoppable. Don't exhale yet. Because this, right here, right now, is where the mask slips, the truth surfaces, and the world finally realizes what you really are. Let's go deeper, darker, more surgical. You think that last move shook them? You think their whispers were the peak? No, that was the tremor before the earthquake. The real panic begins when people understand that your move wasn't luck, wasn't chance, wasn't a one-time miracle. It was pattern, it was habit, it was you. And that terrifies them, because what you did that clean, calculated surgical action, didn't come from adrenaline, it came from clarity. A clarity no one your age should have. A clarity people usually spend years, decades, entire lifetimes trying to master. A clarity only two types of beings acquire: angels who saw too much, and demons who survived too much. Guess which one you are? Both. You are the duality. They pray, they never meet. A creature built from contradictions, too wise to be naive, too calm to be underestimated, too observant to be manipulated, too strategic to be cornered. You are the student of pain who graduated from trauma with honors and decided to weaponize your survival. That's why your move hit them like a military extraction. That's why even the loudest ones shut their mouths. That's why the room went cold. Because for a second, just a second, they saw what lurks behind your eyes. A mind that plots without emotion, a heart that feels without collapsing, a soul that endures without breaking, a darkness that thinks in architecture, not chaos. You didn't act like a person reacting. You acted like a force, calculating. That's the difference. People react. Weapons calculate. And you, my friend, are a weapon forged in silence, honed by betrayal, calibrated by loss, refined by every night you begged the world to stop hurting you. And it didn't. You didn't crumble. You sharpened. You didn't shatter. You reorganized. You didn't bleed out. You bled inward till the pain became muscle and the heartbreak became instinct. That move they're talking about, that special ops moment, that was your instinctual autopilot. Imagine what happens when you're fully awake, and that's the part that scares them the most. Because deep down, they know. You weren't even trying. You weren't activated. You weren't provoked. You weren't unleashed. You were calm, silent, present. And even in that state, your precision was lethal. Imagine if life had pushed you 10% further. Imagine if you weren't holding back. They felt it. They don't know how to phrase it, how to rationalize it, how to categorize what they witnessed, so they reach for the closest comparison they have. Bro, that looked special ops. But no military on Earth could teach what you learned in the dark. No academy could recreate the curriculum life forced you through. No soldier could study the emotional warfare you've already mastered, because special ops teams are trained by men. You are trained by pain, and pain has no mercy, no schedule, no instructor, no uniform. Pain doesn't prepare you for missions. It prepares you for yourself. And that's what you understand now. That your mind is a battlefield, your past is your training manual, and your instincts are tactical algorithms honed by necessity. You are the kind of person who surveys danger like a mathematician. You see openings others miss. You sense timing others can't compute. You understand patterns before others even detect motion. That is why they fear you. Not because of what you did, but because of what it revealed. You can't be predicted. You can't be read. You can't be manipulated. You can't be flustered. Your soul is too seasoned. Your mind is too engineered. Your heart is too fortified. You became something people only whisper about. A person who thinks clearly under pressure. A person who acts with intent under chaos. A person who strikes with precision under confusion. A person who can't be controlled. And you want to know the real terror. You did it effortlessly. So imagine, just imagine, what happens when someone finally pushes you to your limit. When that instinct sharpens into decision. When that decision sharpens into action. When that action sharpens into an outcome they can't undo. Because the truth is simple. You're not special, OP. You're the thing Special Opus tries to contain, and there's no containing you now. Keep moving. The world just realized you're not the one who needs training. They're the ones who need protection from you. All right, if you really want the end, then brace yourself, because endings aren't soft in your world. They're sharpened, intentional, deliberate. Let's finish this the way you finish everything, quietly, cleanly, and with precision. They call your move special ops because they don't have the courage to call it what it really was, a warning, not loud, not theatrical, not aggressive, a silent demonstration that you have outgrown the realm of normal people, that your instincts evolved into something beyond training, beyond discipline, beyond protocol. You moved like someone who no longer second guesses, someone who no longer doubts their capability, someone who no longer asks for permission to be powerful. And that's what terrifies them, because people can handle a fighter, people can handle a loudmouth, people can handle a hothead. But a calm person, a calculating person, a person with that stillness behind the eyes, the one that looks like a predator who already finished the hunt before anyone else realized it began. No one knows how to survive that. You became a paradox, a heart that still feels, a mind that doesn't flinch, a soul that doesn't break, a darkness that doesn't need chaos to dominate. You're not the villain, nor the victim, nor the hero. You're the equation no one solves, the variable no one predicted, the consequence no one accounted for. And that last move, the one they're replaying like surveillance footage, that wasn't the beginning of your power. That was you finally letting the world get a glimpse of the mind you built in silence. A mind sharpened by storms, a spirit hardened by trials, a heart fortified by pain so intense it carved the softness into steel. You didn't turn cold, you turned correct. And now they see it. They see the posture, the certainty, the restraint, the lethal calm, the way you walk like someone who knows they can handle anything. That's why they're scared. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're prepared. Not because you're violent, but because you're effective. Not because you're unpredictable, but because you're inevitable. And inevitability, that's the one enemy no one can kill. So listen closely. Your final lesson isn't about revenge. It isn't about dominance. It isn't even about proving them wrong. It's this: a calculated soul is unstoppable. Not because it's deadly, but because it's disciplined. Not because it's loud, but because it's precise. Not because it's fueled by rage, but because it's powered by clarity. You have clarity now. You earned it the hard way. You paid for it with nights you didn't deserve and wounds you didn't ask for. And after all that, you walked away with a mind engineered like a weapon. So let them talk, let them guess, let them analyze that move as if it came from some secret organization. Because the truth is simple. No unit trained you. Life did. And life doesn't train amateurs. Life trains survivors. Life trains strategists. Life trains the ones it knows will rise. And now, you're rising without permission, without hesitation, without fear. So end this chapter the way a calculated soul ends every battle. Not with noise, with certainty. Stand tall, move forward. Let them whisper special ops if it helps them sleep at night. Because deep down, every single one of them knows the truth. Your power didn't come from training. It came from becoming someone no one cares. Good morning. Yeah, you. Don't look around. Don't pretend this message isn't meant for you, because deep down, you already know it is. Something strange is happening right now, isn't it? Somewhere out there, someone is talking about you, not whispering, not hinting, talking. And now, suddenly, the same people who laughed when your name was dragged through the dirt, the same people who clapped when you were misunderstood. The same people who watched your silence like it was weakness. Now they're begging that person to stop. Isn't that fascinating? You see, the world has a very funny relationship with truth. When the truth hurts someone weak, they call it justice. But when the truth threatens someone powerful, suddenly it becomes dangerous. And right now, the truth about you, oh, it's dangerous. You confuse people, not because you're complicated, but because you refuse to fit into the little boxes they built to understand you. One day you're quiet, observing everything. The next day you're relentless, unstoppable, almost frightening. One moment you look like the saint who forgives too much. The next moment you look like the psychopath who forgives nothing. Angel, demon, mercy, chaos. You walk with both, and people hate that. They want consistency, predictability, labels, good person, bad person, hero, villain. But you're the glitch in their little moral operating system. And glitches terrify people because they can't control what they can't categorize. So for a long time, they tried to define you. They called you crazy. They called you arrogant. They called you misunderstood. They called you dangerous. But here's the beautiful punchline. None of those labels ever actually stuck, because every time they thought they understood you, you changed. Every time they thought they had you figured out, you evolved. Pain did that to you. Pain turned you into something unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. See, the world teaches most people to become consistent little machines. Wake up, follow rules, stay polite, stay quiet, stay manageable. But pain doesn't train machines. Pain creates anomalies. Pain forces you to ask questions that comfortable people are too afraid to ask. Who am I? Really? What happens if I stop caring about approval? What happens if I stop asking permission? And that's when the transformation begins, not when life gets easier. No, when it gets unbearable. When something inside you snaps, not loudly, quietly, like a bone breaking beneath the skin. That's when you start becoming something else, something they didn't prepare for, something they can't control anymore. And now someone out there is talking about you. Maybe they're exposing the truth. Maybe they're revealing what people tried to hide. Maybe they're simply saying what everyone secretly knows, that you survived things most people wouldn't. That you walked through chaos and came out different, and suddenly the room feels uncomfortable. Suddenly people shift in their chairs. Suddenly they're whispering. Stop talking about them. Leave it alone. Don't bring their name up. Isn't that interesting? When you were struggling, they had plenty to say. When you were lost, they had endless opinions. When you were weak, everyone was a commentator. But the moment your story starts sounding powerful, the moment your pain starts looking like evolution, the moment people realize you didn't break, now they want silence, because your story ruins their narrative, your survival ruins their excuses, your growth ruins their comfort. You see, your existence creates a very uncomfortable mirror. When people look at you, they don't just see someone who suffered. They see someone who turned suffering into fuel. And that's terrifying, because it exposes a secret most people don't want to admit. Pain doesn't destroy people. Weakness does. And you refuse to stay weak. Even when it would have been easier, even when it would have been safer, you kept moving, slowly, painfully, but forward. And now the same chaos that tried to erase you is accidentally turning you into a story. And stories Stories spread, stories travel, stories grow louder, which is why they're begging someone to stop talking about you. Because once a story becomes truth, control disappears. And that's the real fear. Not you, not your past, not your reputation. No. The real fear is that people will start realizing something, that the quiet person they ignored, the one they underestimated, the one they misunderstood, was never weak, just patient, just observing, just evolving. You see, the most dangerous people in the world aren't loud villains. They're quiet survivors, the ones who learned, the ones who adapted, the ones who turned darkness into intelligence. Those people, they can walk into any room and change the energy without saying a word, because their presence carries history, pain, transformation, and people can feel it. They may not understand it, but they feel it. And that's why your name makes people uncomfortable now, because every time it's mentioned, it reminds them of something. That chaos doesn't always destroy people. Sometimes it creates them, and you're proof of that, which means something very inconvenient for them. It's too late to silence the story, too late to control the narrative, too late to pretend you never existed, because once someone survives the fire, they don't fear the smoke. They become it, unpredictable, uncontrollable, everywhere. And the funniest part, you didn't even plan this. You weren't chasing revenge. You weren't chasing attention. You were just trying to survive. But survival has a funny side effect. It turns ordinary people into legends people whisper about. So let them panic, let them beg, let them say your name in worried voices, because the moment they started trying to silence the truth about you, they accidentally confirmed something. You matter, and whether they like it or not, the story about you, it's already spreading, and now, no one can stop it. Good. You're still here. That tells me something about you. Most people would have already clicked away by now. Too uncomfortable, too intense, too revealing. But you stayed, which means something inside you is recognizing something. Not the words, the truth behind the words. Because the truth has a strange energy. It doesn't politely knock on your mind. It invades it. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. You're starting to see something you were never supposed to see. The game. Oh yes, there's always a game. A silent one. A psychological one. A game where reputations are traded like currency and narratives are weapons. And for a long time, you were the easy target in that game. People could say anything about you, twist anything about you, misinterpret anything about you. Why? Because you were quiet, because you didn't defend yourself, because you didn't chase approval, and silence. Oh, silence is delicious food for people who feed on assumptions. So they created stories, little lies wrapped in confidence, little narratives that made them feel powerful. You know what they're like. I heard something about them. They always seemed a little strange. And everyone nodded, because human beings love simple explanations. Villain, hero, good, bad, but you never fit the script, and that drove them insane. You see, there's a very special type of person the world struggles to understand. The observer, the one who sees too much, the one who speaks too little, the one who quietly studies everything while everyone else performs. That was you. While they were busy judging you, you were learning how people lie, learning how people betray, learning how people smile in your face while sharpening knives behind your back. And each time it happened, something inside you changed, not loudly, quietly, like steel being forged in a dark room. Pain became awareness. Awareness became intelligence, and intelligence became something very dangerous. Clarity. Once you see people clearly, you can't unsee them. Once you understand the game, you can't pretend it's not there. And suddenly your silence stops looking like weakness. It starts looking like control. That's when things shift. Because the moment you stop reacting emotionally, you start observing strategically. And people hate that. They prefer predictable opponents. People they can manipulate. People they can provoke. People they can control. But when someone becomes calm, aware, unbothered, they become impossible to read. And the unknown terrifies people more than any enemy. So what do? They talk. Oh, they talk a lot. They analyze you. They criticize you. They speculate about you, because if they can keep talking about you, they can convince themselves they understand you. But then something unexpected happened. Someone started telling the truth. Not the rumors, not the gossip, the truth. Maybe they told people how you handled pressure. Maybe they revealed how you kept moving when everyone expected you to collapse. Maybe they simply described who you really are, without distortion. And suddenly the narrative started cracking. The story they built about you started falling apart, and panic spread, because lies require maintenance. They need constant repetition, constant reinforcement. But truth? Truth only needs one voice, just one. And suddenly people are uncomfortable. Suddenly they're whispering, "Stop talking about them. Let it go. Don't bring that up again." Why? Because every time your story is told honestly, something very inconvenient happens. People start realizing something. You were never the villain. You were just unpredictable. And unpredictability is terrifying for people who rely on control. You see, control is the religion of insecure minds. They control narratives. They control reputations. They control perceptions. But the moment someone becomes impossible to predict, control disappears. And that's exactly what you became. A paradox, calm but dangerous, kind but ruthless when necessary, quiet but impossible to ignore. A person who understands both sides of human nature, the light and the dark. You know what kindness feels like, but you also understand cruelty. You know what loyalty means, but you've seen betrayal up close. You know what hope feels like, but you've walked through despair, and that combination creates something rare, someone who can walk through chaos without being destroyed by it. Most people are one-dimensional, all light or all darkness, but you became something else entirely. Balance, saint when it matters, monster when it's necessary, mercy when it's deserved, chaos when it's required, and people can sense that, even if they don't understand it, even if they try to deny it, because energy doesn't lie, presence doesn't lie. The way you move through life now, it tells a story of someone who refused to break, and that story spreads, not because you advertise it, but because transformation is magnetic. People notice it, they feel it, they talk about it, and now the irony is complete. The same people who once controlled the narrative about you are desperately trying to silence it. But here's the cruel joke. The more they try to suppress your story, the more powerful it becomes. Because resistance creates curiosity. Curiosity creates attention. And attention turns whispers into legends. So now they're begging someone to stop talking about you. begging the truth to stay quiet, begging the story to disappear. But stories like yours don't disappear, because they represent something bigger. They represent the one thing the world secretly fears, a person who has nothing left to prove and nothing left to fear. And when someone reaches that state, they become unstoppable, not loud, not aggressive, just inevitable. And the moment people realize that, the moment they realize the person they underestimated, the one they dismissed, the one they misunderstood, has become something they can no longer control, that's when panic begins. But by then, it's already too late. Because evolution doesn't ask permission, and you already evolved, which means something very simple. The version of you they thought they knew no longer exists, and the version of you standing here now, oh, they're only just beginning to understand it. And when they finally do, that's when the real chaos begins. And now the silence around you feels different, doesn't it? Not the old silence, not the silence of being ignored, dismissed, forgotten. No, this is a different kind of silence. This is the silence people create when they don't know what to do with you anymore. Because something about you changed. Not your face, not your voice, not even your life on the outside, but something deeper, your presence. You see, most people move through the world unconsciously. They react, they complain, they blame, they repeat the same emotional patterns their entire lives, like actors trapped in a script they never wrote. But you stepped out of the script. Pain forced you to. At first it felt like chaos. Everything you believed in cracked. People you trusted revealed themselves. Situations you thought were safe collapsed. And in the middle of that collapse, you faced a choice most people never consciously face. Become bitter or become dangerously aware. And you chose awareness, which means something very unfortunate for the world around you. You started seeing everything. The fake smiles, the calculated compliments, the subtle manipulations hidden inside friendly conversations. You started noticing how people test each other, how they push boundaries, how they disguise envy as concern. Once you see that, you can never go back. The curtain falls, and suddenly life looks very different. Not darker, just clearer. You realize something shocking. Most conflicts aren't about truth. They're about ego survival. People don't argue to understand. They argue to protect the story they tell themselves about who they are. And your existence threatens a lot of those stories. Because you didn't follow the path they expected. You didn't break when they predicted you would. You didn't disappear when things got difficult. You transformed. And transformation is terrifying for people who remain the same. Because it exposes something, possibility. Your evolution quietly asks a question they don't want to answer. If they survived that, what excuse do I have? And that question is unbearable for someone who prefers comfort over growth. So they resist it, they deny it, they mock it. But the truth keeps creeping back in. Every time your name is mentioned, every time someone tells the real story, every time someone says, you know, they actually handled that incredibly well. Suddenly people get nervous because your story contradicts their narrative. They wanted you to be the example of failure, the cautionary tale, the proof that stepping outside the system leads to collapse. But instead, you became proof of something much more dangerous. That suffering can create strength. That betrayal can create wisdom. that chaos can create clarity, and clarity is the most threatening weapon in the world, because once someone sees clearly, they can't be manipulated easily, they can't be controlled emotionally, they can't be pulled into meaningless drama, and people who thrive on control, they hate clarity. They need confusion, they need emotional reactions, they need predictable behavior, but you stopped giving them that. Your calm became louder than their noise. Your silence became stronger than their accusations. Your presence became heavier than their opinions. And slowly, very slowly, the energy shifted. People started noticing something uncomfortable. You weren't reacting anymore. You weren't defending yourself anymore. You weren't chasing validation anymore. You were just moving forward, calmly, relentlessly, almost like you knew something they didn't. And maybe you do. Maybe you learned the secret most people spend their entire lives avoiding. That pain is not the enemy. Pain is the teacher. Pain strips away illusions. Pain burns away fake identities. Pain forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. And if you survive that process, you become someone new, someone sharper, someone deeper, someone far more difficult to manipulate. That's the version of you standing here now, and people can feel it, even if they don't understand it. Which is why your name makes certain people uncomfortable, because every time someone brings you up, it reminds them of something they wish wasn't true, that the person they underestimated is no longer playing the same game. You see, the old game was about approval, about fitting in, about maintaining social harmony. But the new game is about self-mastery. And self-mastery is terrifying, because someone who masters themselves cannot be controlled by others. They don't chase praise. They don't collapse under criticism. They don't panic when misunderstood. They simply observe, adapt, and move forward. That kind of person becomes something society doesn't know how to categorize. Not a hero, not a villain, something far more complicated. A force, and forces can't be silenced easily. Which brings us back to the beginning. Now they're begging someone to stop talking about you, begging the truth to stay quiet, begging the story to disappear. But here's the beautiful irony. The moment someone tries to silence a story, they make it stronger, because suppression creates curiosity. Curiosity creates attention, and attention turns whispers into legends. So the more they try to hide your story, the more people start asking questions. Why are they trying so hard to silence this? What really happened? Who is this person? And slowly, the truth spreads, not loudly, not dramatically, just steadily, like cracks spreading through glass, until one day, the entire illusion shatters. And when that happens, people finally see you clearly. Not the rumors, not the assumptions, the real version. The one who walked through darkness and came back different. The one who learned how the game works. The one who refuses to be controlled by it anymore. And that moment is when everything changes. Because once the truth becomes visible, there's no putting it back in the shadows. Which means something very simple. They can beg all they want. They can panic. They can try to silence the conversation. But the story about you, the real story, it's already out there. And the funny thing about truth is that once it starts moving, no one can stop it. Bro, you felt that, didn't you? That silence right before the checkmate lands. The air gets thicker, the room gets quieter. Every breath turns into a confession, That's what happens when the game flips. When the pawn they mocked suddenly starts moving like a goddamn grandmaster. You warned them without words. You showed them without mercy. And now they're sitting there, pieces scattered, pride bleeding, eyes wide, begging for a timeout that doesn't exist in your reality. They tried to play you. Oh, they really thought they had the script figured out, your moves predicted, your limits mapped. But you weren't on the same board. You were the board, every square, every shift, every silent calculation. They belonged to you long before they even arrived. You let them think they were winning, because victory tastes different when it's stolen from their trembling hands. You let them smile. You let them talk. And just when they started believing the illusion, you twisted the rules, changed the tempo, and rewrote the entire goddamn game. See, that's the thing about you. People think you play for points, for trophies, for applause. No, no, no. You play for psychology. You play for silence. You play for the sound of an ego cracking under the weight of your calm. You don't raise your voice. You just raise the stakes. Because while they're busy celebrating temporary wins, you're studying how they celebrate. You're dissecting their rhythm, reading their patterns, waiting for the split second where arrogance turns into exposure, and then, boom, the illusion collapses, their king falls, and they finally see it. You never played to survive. You played to evolve. That's what terrifies them most. Your unpredictability. They can't chart it, can't box it, can't sterilize it. You are the paradox, chaos wrapped in precision. The saint and the psychopath fused in one pulse. The calm before the massacre. You know pain, not as punishment, but as programming. Every betrayal, every lie, every smirk that underestimated you, it all became code. And you learn to speak it fluently. When they laugh now, it's not mockery, it's nervous energy. They sense it, the reversal, the energy shift, the hum in the air that says the tables have been bolted to the floor, and you're the one sitting comfortably at the head. The moment they tried to manipulate you, they triggered their own simulation, and you've been 3 moves ahead ever since. It's poetic, isn't it? They built entire narratives about your downfall, spent months orchestrating your chaos, mistaking your silence for surrender. But the silence was your strategy. While they were screaming for attention, you were mapping out exits. While they were plotting your end, you were redesigning their beginning. Every message they sent, every whisper they shared, it all led back to you. The architect of irony, the conductor of karma, and oh, how fast the proud become the panicked. Look at them now, breathing heavy, counting seconds, looking for rules that don't exist. Can we start over? They ask. Can we undo the move? But the universe doesn't grant timeouts to those who mistake patience for weakness. You see, the real power isn't in the play. It's in knowing when to pause, when to let them dig deep enough to see what they've become. You gave them rope, and they thought it was a gift. Now they're dangling by the very strategy they once used against you. You ever notice how predators act when they realize they've been preyed upon? That confusion in their eyes. That's the flavor of poetic justice. You can taste it now, can't you? That metallic satisfaction that comes when you don't just win. You transform. They thought they were breaking you. But every hit only sharpened your edges. Every betrayal only baptized you deeper into awareness. And that's the secret, isn't it? Power doesn't scream. It studies, it adapts, it becomes. You were never chasing their approval. You were studying their control mechanisms. And when you learned how to detach from their validation, that's when the board flipped. Because when someone plays for ego, they always lose to someone who plays for understanding. They don't get it yet, but they will. When the lights go out. When the last move lands. When the world stops pretending you were lucky and starts whispering that maybe, just maybe, you engineered all of this. They'll call it manipulation. You'll call it mathematics. Because this was never a game of checkers. This was war disguised as conversation. This was prophecy hidden in posture. This was you, the calm in chaos, the smile that unnerves the room, the paradox they can't diagnose. And now the irony burns. They tried to play you. But every move they made was recorded, mirrored, magnified. They handed you their tells. They handed you their timeline. They handed you them. And now you sit there, smiling through the silence, watching them beg for the clock to stop. But it won't. Because this isn't chess anymore. This is theater, and the curtains don't close until you decide the final act. So let them call for mercy. Let them gasp, apologize, plead. You've earned the right to stand still and let the universe applaud in your stead. Because while they're begging for timeouts, you're already planning your next game. It's funny, isn't it? The way they look at you now, like they just woke up inside the maze they built for you. That's the real punchline. They thought they were the puppeteers, tugging at your strings, rehearsing their lines, feeling so sure the script would end with your silence. But what they didn't realize is that you memorized their play before they even picked up the pen. You let them think they were pulling you apart, when all you were doing was watching, learning, calculating. They always underestimate the quiet ones, the ones who don't flinch, the ones who smile when things burn, because they don't understand that silence isn't weakness. It's data collection. Every betrayal was a breadcrumb. Every lie, a breadcrumb. Every time they laughed behind your back, they gave you coordinates, and now you're standing in the center of their web, holding every thread they thought was yours to choke on. You didn't just flip the board, you became the board. You turned manipulation into meditation. You taught yourself the art of invisible warfare, because true power isn't about outshouting the crowd. It's about being the one they start whispering about, the one they can't explain, the one that makes them stare at their reflection and wonder, what did I unleash? And now, look at them. Every move they make trembles. Every message they send feels monitored. Every smile feels staged. Because they don't know how deep you went, how much you saw, how much you understood. You didn't destroy them. You let them self-destruct in front of you. You became the silent witness of their unraveling. You became the nightmare that doesn't chase, it waits. That's the kind of terror they can't survive. The kind that doesn't scream, the kind that remembers. You see, people like them only win against those who play by the rules. And you learned early on that rules are just decorations for the weak. They're comfort blankets for the predictable. You stopped playing their game and built your own one move at a time, out of pain, madness, and clarity. That's evolution. That's alchemy. That's how the broken turn into architects. They called you crazy, dramatic, unstable, until they realized your madness had a method sharper than their logic. You dismantled them without a single argument. No fight, no shouting, just presence. Because your energy started doing the talking for you. You started radiating something that couldn't be faked, something earned in blood and betrayal. And the world, it started paying attention. The same ones who called you obsessed are now obsessed with you. The same ones who mocked your silence now mimic your tone. The same ones who plotted your downfall now study your pattern like scripture, hoping to find the part where you failed. But you never failed. You just fell silent long enough to become unrecognizable. That's the trick, isn't it? Disappear long enough and they start mistaking your absence for extinction. But you weren't gone. You were upgrading. You were turning pain into precision. And when you reappeared, they didn't recognize you. Not because you changed, but because they stayed the same. Now they're sitting there, pale, paranoid, trying to trace the timeline. When did it shift? They ask. When did we lose control? The answer, the moment they underestimated your patience. Because patience is the most dangerous weapon in existence. It bleeds your enemies dry without you lifting a finger. You waited, you watched, you forgave nothing. That's the part they never saw coming. You weren't healing, you were building immunity, you weren't retreating. You were reprogramming. You were teaching yourself the psychology of chaos until you became fluent in it. And when you spoke again, your voice carried the weight of every betrayal, transmuted into authority. Now they flinch when you speak. They panic when you smile. They know what it means when you go quiet. Because your silence isn't absence, it's execution pending. They'll call you cold. They'll call you ruthless. They'll say you changed. But deep down, they know the truth. You didn't change. You remembered who the hell you are. And here's the twist of the knife. They're not even angry at you. They're angry at themselves for misreading you. They projected their weakness onto your calm, their fear onto your mystery, their lies onto your truth. You became a mirror, and they couldn't stand their own reflection. Now every time they look at you, they see the ghost of their own mistakes staring back. And the more they try to fix it, the deeper they sink. Because you can't outplay someone who doesn't care about winning. You can't trap someone who built the maze. You can't destroy someone who turned destruction into discipline. You became the algorithm they can't crack, the paradox they can't pin down. You are logic and lunacy in one vessel, and that combination terrifies the world because it cannot be controlled. You stopped reacting, and that's when the world started orbiting you. You stopped explaining, and that's when people started investigating you. You stopped chasing, and that's when they started collapsing. You became the gravitational field in their chaos, the silent pull that rewrites trajectories. And now, look how poetic it all is. The ones who played you like a game are now pieces in yours. Their next move doesn't matter. You already saw it coming 3 realities ago. You don't even play for revenge anymore. You play for awareness, because awareness is the ultimate checkmate. It makes people confess without being questioned. It makes them kneel without being ordered. It makes them crumble under the weight of your knowing. That's why they beg for a timeout. They can't breathe in the atmosphere you built. It's too real, too heavy, too undeniable. You shattered their simulation, and now they're choking on reality. So let them run, let them talk, let them rewrite the story one last time. It won't save them. Because you've already transcended the board. You've already moved into the realm where timeouts don't exist, where silence is a weapon, and where the player becomes the law. And from up here, watching them flail in the ruins of their own arrogance, you finally understand. They never played you. They activated you. And that's a move they'll never recover from. You notice how they still flinch when your name comes up in a conversation. That half-second of silence that follows, like the universe itself just adjusted the volume. That's not coincidence. That's residue. The kind that lingers after someone's been outplayed so brutally, their nervous system refuses to forget it. Every time your name gets whispered, it's not gossip, it's a trigger, because deep down, they know. The moment they tried to play you, was the moment they set fire to their own strategy. They thought you were the fool sitting on the edge of the board, waiting for approval. They didn't realize you were the architect underneath it, studying every pattern, every weakness, every microsecond of their overconfidence. That's the part that haunts them now. You never reacted, you observed. And when you finally moved, it was surgical. No rage, no warning, just precision, clean, quiet, and irreversible. They say the devil hides in the details. No, darling, the devil hides in discipline, and you mastered both. You learned that chaos is just order with better rhythm. You learned that power isn't about controlling others. It's about not needing to. They were addicted to attention, but you became addicted to alignment. They needed an audience, you needed accuracy. And that's the gap that destroyed them. Because while they were chasing validation, you were building inevitability. You didn't just win the game, you rewired the concept of winning. Because real victory isn't applause. It's the silence that follows when everyone finally realizes you were right all along. They're in that silence now, drowning in it. And you're sitting in the center of it, calm, composed, untouchable. You could expose them if you wanted to. You could speak. You could burn the entire board with a single truth. But you don't, because your silence is more terrifying than any revelation. It makes them wonder what you know, how much you've seen, and what you're saving for later. That's real control, when your restraint becomes their paranoia. They used to laugh at your loyalty. They used to mistake your heart for a handle. But now, they'd kill for your composure. They'd sell their peace for 1 ounce of the clarity that kept you alive when everything else collapsed. You walk differently now, not because you're proud, but because you're free. You stopped needing closure from people who can't even close their mouths. You stopped seeking peace in places that profit from your chaos. You stopped explaining your value to those who couldn't recognize gold unless it was choking them. That's evolution, the painful kind, the irreversible kind, the kind that splits your identity apart until only truth remains. And that truth, it's sharp now. Unfiltered, unapologetic. You became everything they feared you'd become, the version of yourself that doesn't ask for permission to exist. The version that doesn't play by rules written by fragile people pretending to be powerful. You became your own authority, your own myth. They tried to humiliate you publicly. Now they research you privately. They tried to erase you. Now they study your method like it's a survival guide. They can't decide whether to hate you or worship you. So they oscillate between both, like broken radio signals looping the same regret. That's what happens when you face a storm and don't drown. You come back with thunder in your chest. You came back with timing in your veins. You came back fluent in pain, fluent in power, fluent in silence, and that fluency, it doesn't fade, it echoes. Every time you smile now, it carries history. Every glance, every word, every pause is charged with the energy of someone who's seen death in the mirror and winked back. That's why people can't look at you for too long. They feel it, the density of your presence. You became too real for a world addicted to pretending. And oh, how that terrifies them. You didn't need revenge. You became revelation. And that's a punishment no enemy recovers from. They wake up every day pretending they're fine, but they can't escape the math. You were the variable they never accounted for. You were the wild card that turned their entire formula into chaos. Now they overthink every move. They second-guess their instincts. They tiptoe through life like it's a minefield, because you taught them what happens when they underestimate quiet energy. You taught them that patience can kill faster than rage. They're living in a reality where you're not even trying anymore. And that's what breaks them most. You're not chasing, you're not correcting, you're not proving. You've evolved into something they can't even define. You've become presence, personified. Because that's the secret, isn't it? Once you stop fighting for control and start embodying it, the entire world begins to rearrange itself around you. The same people who tried to play you now orbit your gravity. The same ones who mocked your silence now drown in their noise. The same ones who weaponized attention now suffocate under the weight of your absence. You are no longer a player in their game. You are the glitch that rewrote the rules. You are the consequence wearing calm like cologne. They used to say, "You'll regret losing me." But you never lost them. You released them, and now they're trapped in a loop of trying to replace the very energy they tried to destroy. Let them keep reaching for replicas of you. Let them search the world for someone with your stillness, your chaos, your edge, your mercy. They'll never find it. Because what you became wasn't luck. It was alchemy. You turned betrayal into blueprint. You turned heartbreak into hardware. You turned games into governance. You don't move with emotion anymore. You move with purpose. You don't respond for reaction. You respond for revelation. You don't exist to prove anything. You exist to remind. Remind them that you were never the pawn. Remind them that the quiet ones are always the most dangerous. Remind them that the moment they tried to play you, the countdown began on their own illusion, because now, every night when they close their eyes, they see you standing in the smoke, smiling, calm, knowing, not angry, not bitter. Just done. And that's the scariest look of all, because that's not a face you can defeat. That's a face that's already seen every ending and rewritten every single one.